He was one of the best people I've ever known in my life.
She was like the life of the party. Her happiness came from seeing others joyful, and she lived harmoniously with everyone around her.
He was just genuinely curious about everything in life.
He had a smile big and bright enough to bring light into any space.
She was the fashion police. She would say, "You're not going to wear that, are you?"
But whenever there was a troubling situation, he was there.
San Bernardino County, it's big and small. It has nearly 2.2 million people and more than 20,000 square miles of area within it, most of which is not really populated. And as an organization, the county is big and small as well. With more than 20,000 employees, you would think that's a lot, but it's not like a factory where there's 25 people all working together in one location. They're sprinkled throughout the county, many of them working in the exact neighborhoods that they live in.
She started doing vector control. That's how she got her foot in the door, with the county. She was already going to school for environmental health. She studied for her state certification. And she didn't want anybody to know that she was studying for her certification. She goes, "You guys are going to jinx me. Don't tell anybody." She would lock herself upstairs and study, hours, and she didn't want to go anywhere. And she was really serious about it.
He started working here right out of college. It's what he always wanted to do. This was like his first adult job. He started with the EHS and just kind of worked his way up, and he called it the mini UN because there was people from just every background you could possibly imagine just working in this one office. They were like a big family.
Isaac loved the warmth of people around him, and those around him loved the warmth Isaac brought to them. Isaac started his public health career with Los Angeles County in the early 2000s and transferred to San Bernardino County in 2004.
My brother was unique. He was something of an introvert, but at the same point in time, his best activity was speech and debate. We all thought he was going to be a lawyer. He started off doing like a civil engineering master's at Cornell. He ended up finishing the PhD in geography, I think, at Ohio State. But it wasn't geography in the sense of, topography or things like that. It was more geared towards resource management inside of a geographic area.
He started out inspecting pools at Riverside Environmental Health, then took care of all of the waste for the county, moved on to planning and transportation.
So he had nearly, 35-year career essentially between the two counties. He really loved what he did. Yeah. He loved helping keep people safe by doing inspections, and he liked encouraging people to recycle. I mean, recycling, we do to this day, it's such a big deal. Reduce, reuse, recycle. And I remember we had the recycled shoelaces that were neon green and said reduce, reuse, recycle, that were made out of recycled material. And it was kind of like environmental stewardship and just taking care of things was important.
Environmental health services is full of unsung heroes, I would say. They help protect the food we eat, the water we drink. They ensure waste is properly disposed of. They respond during disasters. They're behind the scenes on just about every aspect of life. I like to say if you're not hearing about environmental health, then they're doing a good job because that means they're keeping a lot of people safe.
I started with environmental health services in 2008 and became an environmental health specialist trainee. It was something that met a lot of my own personal goals. One of the things that I like is to teach, and in environmental health, you're helping people and you're educating people.
We were putting a team together to work on policies and special projects. I wanted to make their ideas become a reality. I had only been working there for 7 months, but I felt this is the place where I belong.
I'm from Ohio. I came to San Bernardino in 1977, perhaps, and I worked for Agricultural Cooperative Extension. And from there, I went to San Bernardino County Tax Collector. Then years had passed, and I got a job at Riverside County, and I retired at 52. And I decided to pick up my career back at San Bernardino County Public Health in October of 2015. My job was to write policy and procedure for all the disciplines there. And I was only there 7 weeks when this incident happened.
On the morning of December 2nd, I got a call to tell me that something was going on at the Inland Regional Center.
San Bernardino, unfortunately, has a history of being a pretty busy city. So the initial transmission of shots heard in the area didn't necessarily get me too riled up, but it very, very quickly increased with the amount of calls that we were getting. And in fact, we received 299 911 calls.
Did you see people with the guns?
I got another call, but this was from the sheriff. And he said, Greg, we think that maybe some county people have been involved.
It became clear that the shooting had occurred in the meeting room, in the boardroom, and that the environmental health staff was there for their training / holiday lunch.
We knew we were going up against long guns, powerful ARs, and as we were approaching, I said a quick little prayer and asked God to watch over my family in the event that I ended up not making it out. Unknowing to us, the suspects had fled just prior to my arrival at the scene.
This was in the city of San Bernardino, and they have the primary responsibility. But an event of this magnitude can overwhelm you very quickly. So we knew right away that we needed to respond, mutual aid, and assist.
Within the first hour, we probably had over 500 officers there, and we had this massive manhunt still going on.
We're able to identify potentially who the suspects were and the vehicle that they were potentially using. One of the patrol officers from Redlands was able to see that vehicle. Other law enforcement officers responded, and then big shootout between the suspects and law enforcement, and both of the suspects in this event were killed, thankfully.
As we're starting to identify who the suspect was, and found out it was one of our own, as they were finding out there was explosives and other things that was part of that attack, we quickly had to figure out what to do with this building, because his office was in the government center building as well. So I remember quickly relocating to the sheriff's headquarters and getting briefed over there.
I believe it was Bob Page came into the room where the supervisors and I were, and I'll never forget the look on his face. We didn't have all of the identities, but we knew the number. And he said, I think all of them are ours.
I was shot twice with the AR-15. I was shot in the brachial plexus, which rendered my hand paralyzed at that time. And then I suffered the second gunshot wound in my back, where I shattered my entire pelvis. I spent The first 93 days after the shooting in the hospital, I was in ICU for 7 weeks. Finally, I was able to go to in-house rehab at Loma Linda. I was released via ambulance, and I wasn't able to walk. I believe I had over 60 operations, and I spent 360 days in the hospital over 5 years. So there wasn't a lot of recovery. It was more survival.
In the face of something that none of us could have imagined, the community showed incredible strength and unity. Everyone came together, coworkers, neighbors, friends, and the goal was to lift each other up and stand side by side through the hardest of times. But that's really the true spirit of our county here. It's found in the compassion of its people and the way we continue to look out for one another. As we honor those that we've lost, we also honor the resilience and the kindness that continue to carry us forward.
What was one of the darkest moments, I think, in our lives, where we experienced what you could say was like the worst possible outcome in humanity, is it was at the same moment a time when we were surrounded by love from other people that came together to support us as well. And so we saw like the best and the worst at the same time, and you cannot forget the best. Immediately what I took away was I wanted the world to know that there was love in our lives, and I wanted the world to love each other. And I think that that's Dad. That's who he was also. You know, we almost immediately put up a big sign on our house that said love. And it was really like a message from us to Dad, like, we love you, we're here, no matter where you are. We want to see you look down on us, and we love you. And it was also, please, everybody love each other, take care of each other, be kind to each other.
Someone made these handmade little crosses and sent them to us. People made like a dollhouse for the kids, and I can't remember all of it, but there was just like the outpouring of kindness that just made us still see the good in the world. So it's really hard to see the good after something like that happens. We used to do a lot of work with Stars of Hope, and that was all in his memory. The founder lived in New York City. It was built on the memory of 9/12, like all the people coming together and kind of like loving each other. And it evolved into painting these wood stars and taking them to disaster sites. And then after December 2nd, they came out here and hung them on the fence around the IRC. And we started doing a lot of volunteer work with them. And they're just wonderful human beings that are just, God put them on earth to help people like us.
A lot of people from the community, they were trying to, I guess, show their respects, and we were invited to the Redlands Country Club one evening around Christmas time. Yeah. The chef at the country club approached me, and he says, "Are you Yvette's father?" And I said, "Yes." And he said he liked her a lot because she was very professional. She was very personable, but she was very professional. She took her job very seriously. And our restaurants get ratings, the one she gave him for his kitchen, with her rating, and it had her signature on it. And he gave that to me. She showed me her card.
He carried her business card in his pocket, and he had it in his pocket. So
the roots of this, wound through the county, and people who, if you drew a straight line from these victims, you would never know about all these people in the orbit who were so deeply affected. And when you're a government agency and your task and duty is to serve the community, and someone comes into your space and attacks your personnel like that, it's something that we had a lot of trouble finding a parallel for.
In the aftermath of the incident, some of us in the department who were very involved in what transpired on that particular day went out and gave debriefs to talk about some of the lessons learned. During that period, I was approached by the president of the Institute for Intergovernmental Research, which is a nonprofit entity, and they asked me if I would be willing to be part of their team to go out and work under the SLAT program, State and Local Anti-Terrorism Training. Our role is to just go out and talk to first responders across the nation about not only what happened on that particular day, but in lessons learned and things that we could and should have done better. But more importantly, looking at terrorism as a whole.
We started to almost immediately receive cards, letters, blankets. So we do have an area where we keep every item that we receive. As I get older and we start hiring younger people, people will say, what happened on December 2nd? What is this here for? But we do try to put it into a perspective of we're here to serve our community, and we're going to continue to do that no matter what happened here. When you work with people with an intellectual or developmental disability, you tend to fall in love with the community. They need a strong person in certain positions to make sure that they're advocated for. That was what drove me back to work. The fact that people rely on me to make sure that their rights are upheld.
We all have the opportunity to change the arc of the quality of life in the jurisdictions in which we work. And we do more to honor those who were murdered, those who were impacted by doing that for our communities forever, and showing those forces of evil that they will be defeated by our strength.
After we lost all the people that we lost that day, and then people who were injured, I thought how we are ever going to be able to function again. And I was so impressed by people who came from all different counties to help.
We had to bring in support from other county departments, other environmental health jurisdictions throughout the state, and that helped stabilize us initially. Then we brought in contract staff, many retired individuals, and they helped us stabilize for months, a year or so.
And they were so concerned about not only how this would affect us, the county, but it was the public. And I think it was part of my healing process where I really wanted to get back to work. I thought those people who are there, they will need our support because they don't know where anything is or where we were in some projects. It was part of what drove me to keep fighting.
I have lots of reasons for staying here. One is to honor the legacy of those who were lost, but the other is I have an unwillingness to give up. I want my kids to be proud of me. I want to set an example for them especially that shows that even when things are hard, you can keep going and find success. Staying here and continuing to work offered me that opportunity to work through a lot of the awful things that I had experienced, but also, to be frank about it, I wasn't going to let them win anymore. I enjoyed working here. I enjoy working here. I value it so immensely that I wasn't going to let one more thing be taken from me. And I truly do believe in the work that we do here. And I'm rewarded every day by being able to help people.
We wanted to make sure the victims and victim families would never be forgotten. And we want to make sure their lives and families are remembered going forward. So that was a commitment we had from day one.
The efforts to begin honoring the memory of those we lost and those that have been wounded was a journey that took us into unknown, unfamiliar territory. I realized as chair of the committee that I needed to prioritize the families of the deceased and the survivors. And that they needed to become the drivers of what ultimately we would deliver the memorial.
I accepted, to be in the committee because I wanted to not only represent my daughter, but also to try the best I could to represent the other families in creating something that would memorialize their family members in an honorable way.
We had several meetings from creating a mission statement to what we felt were the most important features to highlight. We looked at different designers or architects, and one of the things that we just kept trying to see is like what would be the best for our loved ones that we lost, and how can we best share their memory with others. And at least as part of my role, I shared with other survivors to get their input and their thoughts and ideas, especially on some certain decision points that needed to be made.
They said, we want the site to be where our loved ones worked, at the San Bernardino County Government Center. Ultimately, the committee decided that they wanted Walter Hood to be the one to help them to design our December 2nd memorial.
I felt good to see that the other families appreciated the memorial that was finalized. It just turned out beautiful.
It's a unique pocket for each individual. It was nice to see that each family member got to choose their loved one's color. I can see a little piece of each person every time I walk by. I've learned to take it more as an opportunity to say a prayer for all of my friends and coworkers that I lost and their families, because it was a day that changed all of us, more so their families, but myself included. You know, I can truly say I'm not the same person I was prior to that day. You lose a lot of that sense of trust and security and safety.
I miss my friends and colleagues. I miss their smiles, the jokes, the laughter, the camaraderie, and especially the friendships. I miss the years when December 2nd was just a regular day and not the anniversary of the worst day of my life. I miss the good old days with my family. In the good old days, we didn't worry about me being triggered by noises and smells. We didn't think about leaving and not coming home to be together. Everything changed in a few short minutes one morning. Nothing can fix that day. We can only move on. I am grateful that I can love my family who still support me every day. I am thankful I made it out of the room that day. Every day, I appreciate the fact that I am a survivor.
They asked me why I came back to work. I'm like, because this is our house. This is where we make our community a better place, and no one can take that from us. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that day. It actually sparked me to go ahead and do my doctorate degree. I focused on disaster preparedness and emergency response in the regional center system. That gives me the legitimacy to say, I know what I'm talking about. Even though surviving that day, I think, automatically gives me the credential.
From the day I drove myself to the Christmas party, December 2nd of 2015, I never drove again. At the 5-year mark, I decided, I should be able to drive. And I drove 3 blocks and I came home. I was like, okay, that's not bad. And then I think the 6th year, I rode a bicycle for the first time. And that was pretty sensational. I don't want to be known for the survivor of a terrorist attack. I'd like to be known for someone that made a difference. We do a lot of community service. We're part of the Lions Club. I'm part of a great club. I'm just not sure where this journey is going to take me, but I'm praying and I feel that I have so much to offer and so much good to do. I'm just not sure where God's going to direct me to do that.
We need to be able to continue to be optimistic, but there is a time and a place, absolutely, to not forget the tragedy that took place, and most importantly, the victims. When I say victims, I'm talking about the friends and family members of those individuals involved as well.
I can still see a smile when he walked in the door every day because he would never walk in grouchy. Even if he had like a terrible day at work, he would open the door and have this huge smile on his face. And he'd come give me a hug and kiss, and the kids would just surround him and hug him. And like, he was just always so happy to be with us. That's, I think, the part. It's the part we miss most. It's just his love for us. We had flowers in our yard where we lived when he was still alive. And one of the flowers, it was a petunia, and those don't come back, like those die off every winter. And the couple months after he died, that flower came back to life, and it was a red petunia, and red was his favorite color. But there's just stuff like that kind of just like, it's like, oh, he's like here with us. Like we still feel him.
Aurora was an only child. We were her family. She was the one that always wanted to get together with family, whether it was her anniversary or whatever it was. She wanted to include the whole family. We'd do Disneyland trips together, and it'd be like 22 of us on a random Thursday night. We'd go to Disneyland, and sometimes it'd be crowded. We didn't know because at that time you didn't have to make reservations. So you'd show up, and if it was just too crowded, we'd go to Ghirardelli and get dessert and maybe get on one ride, and then It's a Small World was our ride. So all of us would fit on a boat, and then we'd take a family picture on the boat.
And it's really hard to believe 10 years. It's a long time. But it goes so fast.
Tin Nguyen was a woman of great honesty and integrity. Her smile was ever bright and full of warmth. Dedicated and hardworking, Tin approached her job with enthusiasm, even when it required long commutes. Her daily joy was as simple as enjoying a cup of boba tea, her favorite drink. Tin was engaged and had joyfully gone wedding dress shopping with her mother. Ironically, the very church where she was to be married later became the place where her funeral was held. A deeply touching reminder of her life's unfinished story. Perhaps now she rests peacefully in heaven. She will be forever loved and forever missed.
There's no way to get over it, I don't think. I haven't found it. But you can help other people get through it. And that's what we try to do. We remember him by doing some things that we normally wouldn't do. Like the last time we came, we went to shoot bows and arrows. So it was just something that he would say, yeah, let's go do.
Especially on, memorable days, we try and do things that he would normally want to do, like maybe go outside in the backyard and weed. I think we've done that once or twice, or, go paint something, or try something new, or maybe try a new cuisine that we haven't tried before. Just continuing that pattern of embracing, what's out there and trying new things.
From about the age of 17, there wasn't a lot of time that I had a chance to spend with him because Hal always got jobs in the summertime. And then he moved, of course, to get his master's, and then moved again to Ohio to get his PhD, and then got a job teaching. He was sort of in and out of the orbit, so to speak, for a while. And then he moved to California, of course. But I found that we were weirdly paralleled in some ways. Like his children were almost exactly the same age as my two older children, born within weeks of each other. And then he had developed an interest in the same kind of movies that I liked. And so in the long run, what I end up thinking about often is that I really miss the opportunity to have grown old with him.
Some of her friends still send flowers on her birthday. We still celebrate her. She's not forgotten at all.
Although she was only 27, she lived her life with conviction. She felt very strongly about how people treated one another. She really valued the time that she spent with her nephews and nieces. She is truly, even still, the force that binds our family together. She's been the catalyst of us living more meaningful lives.
My oldest daughter, she asked me, what do you think you've learned, Mom? And I said, I learned how much I love you guys. And I've also learned how strong I am.
Isaac was a wonderful husband, a caring father, a reliable family member, and a cherished friend. He was a true head of his household who never shied away from making the hard decisions to make himself and all those around him better. He always expected more out of you if he knew you were capable. He never missed an opportunity to emphasize the importance of education to all of the children around him, nor did he miss the opportunity to help friends and family in need. Because of the lasting impact he left, there is never a moment where he is not remembered. I could not have been blessed with a better husband and father for my children. As a family whose dad and husband was suddenly taken from us, God has been our source of hope and strength to get us through these times. We rest assured Isaac and the 13 angels are with God in heaven.
We don't want to forget about any of these individuals. They're all amazing in so many different ways. Beyond being dedicated, they were mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. They were committed to protecting those around them. From a work perspective, their legacy is being carried on. On an individual level, I hope that no one forgets how unique and special each of these people were.
In the quiet after chaos, when the headlines fade away, still the echoes of that morning linger softly in the day. There are names we hold like lanterns, there are stories etched in time, and the love that shaped their lives still keeps a gentle, steady shine. Though the world was split and shaken, hearts were broken, frail and bare, but the threads of human kindness wove us back from deep despair. So we carry on the light for the ones who couldn't stay, for the family standing braver than they ever hoped to be that day. Through the darkness, through the sorrow, through the nights that felt too long, we remember, and in remembering we lift their light and keep it strong. There were hands that held to strangers, strength that rose in everyone. There were heroes found in moments where no choice but courage comes, and the ones who walk as survivors hold a strength they didn't seek, but they're rising in their rising, show the hope we still can keep. For the love that binds a family, for the tears that carve us new, every memory becomes a promise, we will not forget you. So we carry on the light for the ones who couldn't stay, for the family it guide us through the fears. Let it hold us when we falter. Let it shine across the years. For the fallen